strange moment when you pull away from something or someone and suddenly everything feels different? The air shifts. The silence becomes louder. People start to notice your absence, even more than your presence. It's not magic. It's energy. Some people hold a kind of quiet power, not because they control others, but because they control themselves. They don't argue, they don't chase, they don't beg for attention. They simply step back, and when they do, everything around them begins to rearrange itself. This is the power of silence. This is what happens when you stop being emotionally available to everyone all the time. You see, most people aren't drawn to your kindness. They're drawn to your energy, the emotional warmth you give so freely. And when you withdraw that warmth, when you reclaim your space, they feel the cold truth: they never wanted you. They wanted what you gave them. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But the opposite is also true. Everything that drains you about others can lead you to discover your own boundaries. Because every time you react too fast, explain too much, or give too freely, you're sending psychic energy out into a world that doesn't always know what to do with it. And then you wonder why you're tired, why you feel empty after being surrounded by people. It's not because you gave too little. It's because you gave without awareness. When you stop being available, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, the world panics. People who once relied on your reaction suddenly have to sit with their own silence. And that silence, it terrifies them. You'll notice this the first time you don't reply. The first time you don't explain yourself. The first time you just pause. They'll call you distant, cold, changed. But what they're really saying is, you're no longer controllable. When you stop being predictable, you stop being usable. And that's where your transformation begins. This is not withdrawal out of bitterness. It's conscious withdrawal, a spiritual boundary, a psychological reset. You're not running from the world. You're returning to yourself. You're learning what it means to protect your energy without guilt, to let silence speak louder than your defense, to become your own source of validation. Because the moment you stop reacting, you begin observing. And what you observe will shock you. You'll see how much of your connection was dependency. You'll see how often you said yes, just to avoid the discomfort of saying no. And you'll start realizing being available is not always love. Sometimes it's fear disguised as kindness. So today, ask yourself, what would happen if you chose not to explain, not to defend, not to chase? What would happen if you simply observed in silence? That's not weakness. That's the beginning of sovereignty. And this first step of withdrawal is where your real power starts to rise. Carl Jung believed that the human mind isn't just a machine reacting to life. It's an energy system. Every thought, every emotion, every reaction burns a piece of that energy. The question is, are you choosing where your energy goes, or are you letting the world decide for you? Every time you react impulsively to a message, to a comment, to a provocation, you lose energy. Not because others took it from you, but because you gave it away without awareness. We call it being nice, but most of the time, it's self-abandonment disguised as kindness. You say it's fine when it's not. You smile when you're breaking inside. You stay silent when your soul screams to leave. And then you wonder why you feel drained, anxious, unseen. It's because your energy is leaking through the cracks of your unhealed patterns. This is where Jung's idea of the shadow self becomes vital. The shadow isn't evil. It's the part of you that got rejected, ignored, or buried so you could be accepted. Every time you suppress your anger, your sadness, your truth, you feed that shadow. And the more you ignore it, the louder it demands to be heard. That's why silence is powerful, but only when it's conscious. Silence born from avoidance feeds the shadow. Silence born from awareness heals it. Your shadow shows up when you overreact, when you feel jealous, when you can't say no. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to show you where your energy is still controlled by others. When you face it, when you finally sit with your discomfort instead of escaping it, something incredible happens. Your energy starts coming back. You stop explaining. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop reacting to every emotional storm around you. This is what it means to reprogram your subconscious mind. You start noticing that not every fight deserves your presence. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every person deserves access to your peace. Because your peace is sacred currency. And the world will take every drop of it until you decide it's worth protecting. Jung said, "That which you resist persists." So, stop resisting your own depth. Stop trying to be the light all the time. Let yourself see the parts you've hidden, the anger, the fatigue, the craving to be left alone. Those are not your flaws. They are your signals. You cannot protect your energy until you understand what drains it. You cannot heal your shadow until you stop pretending it isn't there. So instead of asking, "How do I make them stop using me?" Why do I keep offering myself to be used? Because healing doesn't start when others change. It starts when you decide to no longer play the same emotional game. And that decision, that quiet internal rebellion, is the first moment you reclaim your power. Have you ever noticed how some people can drain an entire room without raising their voice? Not by arguing, not by demanding, not even by asking. They do it simply by knowing your patterns, your triggers, your predictable reactions. This is the power of silent manipulation. Most of us are puppets before we realize it. And the strings are subtle: guilt, praise, validation, anger, or emotional crisis. The manipulator doesn't need to shout. They just press the buttons you left exposed. And because you are always available, you react every single time. Jung called this projection. They project their unresolved pain, fears, and needs onto you. And you respond as if it's your responsibility. The more available you are, the more blank canvas you become. You feel compelled to rescue, to explain, to justify, to please. And in doing so, you unknowingly feed their energy while depleting your own. But here's the truth: they don't need you. They need the version of you that reacts predictably. They need the puppet, not the person. When you stop reacting, when you say nothing, the mask you've worn for them begins to crumble. And suddenly, The silence speaks louder than any argument. The manipulators panic because their control is gone. They accuse, provoke, criticize, not because you are wrong, but because you stopped serving as their emotional crutch. This is where your psychic sovereignty begins. To be unavailable is not to be cruel. It is to protect your vital energy. It is to refuse to feed games that have no value for your soul. It is to become the observer rather than the reactor. And it works in strange, liberating ways. People who relied on you for their emotional survival start to drift. Not because you abandoned them, because they depended on your imbalance to feel in control. Those who wanted the mask, not the real you, begin to see the cracks. And in seeing them, they are forced to face themselves. But let's be clear. This is not comfortable. It is not easy. You will feel guilt. You will hear accusations. You will be misunderstood, judged, and even attacked. This is the cost of taking back your energy. This is the price of sovereignty. The irony is that the more you reclaim yourself, the more people reveal who they really are. Your silence becomes a mirror. Your boundaries become a lens through which others confront their own projections. And you, for the first time in a long time, are free. Free from the constant drain. Free from the need to explain yourself. Free from the invisible chains of expectation. Jung understood that individuation, becoming whole, authentic, yourself, requires this. It requires stepping back, withdrawing, observing, and refusing to engage in the endless emotional games that trap your energy. The question now is simple. Are you willing to face the discomfort of being unavailable? Are you willing to stop reacting so the world no longer controls your energy? Are you ready to confront the shadows in others without losing yourself in the process? Because once you say yes to this, you stop being a tool for someone else's survival. You stop being predictable. You stop being used. And you begin to reclaim your life, your presence, your power. When you finally stop reacting to the world, a strange thing happens. At first, silence feels heavy. You hear the emptiness around you, the absence of noise, the subtle panic of those who relied on your reactions. You question yourself. Did I do the right thing? Am I being too harsh? Am I losing people who mattered? But then, slowly, clarity arrives. Silence transforms into presence. And solitude, the true kind of solitude, becomes your ally. Not the absence of others, but the presence of yourself. The solitude of the strong. The one who no longer betrays themselves to keep others close. The solitude that reconnects you to your energy, your essence, your purpose. This is where the rebirth begins. The confusion dissolves into clarity. Anxiety melts into peace. Neediness transforms into strength. You begin to feel whole within yourself. Carl Jung called this process individuation. It is the journey of stepping back from the collective, from the mask, from the expectations of others. It is walking alone for a while to become yourself, fully and unapologetically. When you withdraw consciously, you stop being a reactor and become a creator. You no longer let circumstances shape you. You shape your reality from within. People who once felt comfortable with your availability now feel unsettled. Not because you changed, because you stopped being functional for them. And that discomfort is liberating. It shows you who wanted the mask, not you. Who wanted convenience, not connection. You will lose people, but you will find yourself. You will distance yourself from environments, but you will reconnect with your essence. You will be misunderstood, but you will finally be respected. Because when you are no longer available for everything, you become rare, valuable, unforgettable. This is your rebirth, a new beginning, a life where you no longer give energy to emotional crumbs, mind games, or voids disguised as affection. You only accept what resonates with your peace, your truth, your wholeness. And here's the final truth. Being loved means nothing if you must abandon yourself for it. True self-love begins when you choose yourself, even if it means being alone for a while. So, ask yourself, are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, or even hated in the name of your inner freedom? Are you willing to pay the price, to finally reclaim your energy, your peace, your life? If your answer is yes, write in the comments, I choose my peace. Because this is not just a decision, it is a declaration, a revolution inside yourself, a journey towards sovereignty, wholeness, and true freedom. And remember, this is only the beginning. The more you practice conscious unavailability, the more you become the master of your own energy. The more you understand that silence is not emptiness, but a weapon, a tool, a doorway to rebirth. Step into your silence, protect your energy, and watch how everything around you begins to change.